Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for another video. And today I'm going to be talking to you about what some people consider to be hack lines, and my favorite hack lines of all time. Now, what do I mean by a hack line? Well, let me give you a little bit of frame of reference. This is something I spoke about on the podcast with Lloyd Barnes a couple of weeks ago. What I am talking about here are lines that magicians might think are cliched, lines that have been used from the beginning of time. And why am I bringing this up? And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I love those hack lines. I love those lines that some magicians will turn their nose up and go, I would never use that in my act. I would never use that in my act, not in a million years. I absolutely love them. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I talked about this on the Q&A a few weeks ago, but there was a review on my Penguin Live recently on a particular channel, and a lot of the comments were quite negative towards me as a person, which is fine. They can say whatever they want to. A few of them were very personal, but whatever. But one of the things that came up again and again and again is Craig is a terrible performer. Craig can't perform. He uses the same hack lines over and over again. And they were saying this in a very negative way, like it was a bad thing. And Craig can't present his way out of a paper bag. He uses the same hack lines and so on and so forth. So I'm not here to defend myself. If somebody thinks I'm not very good at performing, then that's absolutely fine. However, I do want to kind of defend the use of hack lines, because I've been a professional magician as long back as I can remember. And I'm one of the busiest working professional magicians in the country. Very few people do as many gigs as me on top of everything else I do. And every single time I go and perform, I get fantastic feedback. People want to book me again and again and again. You can't be a professional magician and make a living from this stuff if people find you not entertaining or people find you not interesting. And throughout my career, I've performed in every environment you can possibly imagine. My working week is eclectic at best. So like this week coming up, for example, I've got, I think 4 close-up jobs, 2 at high-end weddings, but also a 30th birthday in a back garden, and a private party for like about 20 people, which again is not high end at all. I've also got an illusion show in front of like 800 people, and I've also got a cabaret show that I'm doing in a comedy club. So I've performed, and I continue to perform in lots of different environments, and every single time I perform, these people want me back in again and again. And when I go and film all the various different projects that I'm filming, you'll notice from the reactions, those performances at those shoots always go really, really well. And I know people have said, oh, Craig probably performs it 20 or 30 times until he gets a good reaction. Or I even had somebody say, oh, the person on the Keymaster trailer or the person on the Chop trailer is obviously faking their reactions. Just speak to anybody. Speak to Penguin. Speak to Dalton Wayne and Nick Poper, who filmed all of that stuff for Penguin. Speak to the guys at Alakazam that film all of the stuff for Alakazam. Speak to Dee from the 1914. Speak to Lloyd Barnes from Murphy's Magic. Speak to anybody from any company I've ever worked for. What happens when I go to a shoot is I walk in, doesn't matter if the venue's busy, doesn't matter if the venue's quiet, doesn't matter what environment I'm in, doesn't matter if I'm outside or I'm inside, if I'm on stage or I'm doing close-up, doesn't matter what the table is, whether they're men, whether they're women, whether there's few people, whether there's a lot of people, I just walk over and I absolutely smash it every single time. And the reason I do, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, I'm not saying I'm the greatest magician of all time, I'm not, but I'm very good at reading an audience and using lines and using presentation that will fit the audience in front of me. And the bottom line is, a lot of the people that say, oh, Craig uses hack lines, these hack lines aren't very good, Craig's not a very good presenter of magic. What they want to see is a Derek Delgado or a beautiful storytelling magician that tells stories eloquently, a little bit like a Eugene Berger, who's got that hypnotic voice that brings you in and you focus on every word they say. And you know what? There's absolutely a time and a place for that style of presentation. And there is not only a time and a place, but when they are in the environment where the presentational style is conducive for that environment, they will bring the house down. But unfortunately, that presentational style does not work in the majority of places that book magicians. Because most places that book magicians, from my experience, are pubs, restaurants, corporate events where there's 1,000 people and there's a DJ playing really loud music, or a nightclub, or you're outside and everyone's been drinking and so on and so forth. Those sort of environments, if you sit down and you go, right, let me tell you a story about whatever, you're not going to get their attention. And I told a story on the podcast with Lloyd, and I'll tell the same story here on this video. I went to an event. It was a multi-magician job, which you get an awful lot in the UK, where there's like 5 or 6 magicians because there's so many people at the event. And I was there with a very big name in magic. Somebody, and I'm not going to name names obviously, but somebody who many magicians consider to be one of the top close-up magicians of all time. Very high profile here in the UK. And he was booked to do the event alongside me. And all the other magicians and myself were getting stuck in, and it was big tables of 10. So you got to be loud when you're doing big tables of 10, because you got to walk over, and there's lots of tables around the place, and you got to walk over and grab the attention of the whole table. So it's very much a case of taking control. And hey guys, my name's Craig, I'm the magician. Can everyone look this way? I'm going to show you something that's going to be absolutely amazing. Grabbing people's attention. And I was watching this other magician, who will remain nameless, and you could just tell that he was nervous to walk over to a table. You could see he was psyching himself up. He was standing in the corner, kind of psyching himself up. He'd walk over, and then he'd walk back and walk over and walk back. And eventually, when he did get over to a table, which was about 20 minutes into the event, by the way, he was performing to like 2 or 3 people next to him, and everybody else at that table had switched off. Nobody was paying him any attention other than the 2 or 3 people next to him. And then he'd rotate round and he'd do another part of the table. So in the time it took me to do 4 tables, he'd done 1. And it wasn't what the client wanted. The client didn't want like the client wanted like everybody to be clapping and cheering, and that was not the case. It was understated. Now, the 2 people who he was performing for might have had a wonderful time, but that's not what the client wanted. What you have to do when you get into an environment like that is you have to grab the attention of the audience. And going back to the thing about hack lines, magicians don't like these hack lines. And the reason they don't like these hack lines is because they've heard them a million times before. I have people say to me on this channel, oh, Craig uses the same line on every single one of his tricks. Well, no, I don't. But I probably perform 100 tricks a month on this channel. And a lot of the tricks I'm performing are tricks that are brand new, that I've just learned for the review show. And I want to try and put a presentation together for it, because I'm probably not going to do it ever again. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time scripting it. So instead, I'll throw a presentation together that will probably involve lines that I use in other routines, because I just want to get the routine learned so I can perform it, and then, probably not do it again. I'm not going to perform everything that I learn on the review show all the time. So yeah, but the point I'm trying to make here is I perform an awful lot, but these hack lines, yeah, magicians have heard them before. Yeah, to a magician, it's old hat. But I really wish magicians had the capacity to think back to the first time they heard that line. The first time they heard that line, and go back and experience again what they felt the first time they heard it. Because most of the laymen I'm performing for, most of the people at events that I'm performing for, they haven't heard these lines before. And my job, very, very simply, when I'm booked as a magician, my job is to first and foremost entertain the audience. I'm being booked to entertain their clients. That is my goal. My goal is to go into an event, whether it be a stage show, whether it be a close-up show, whether it be mix and mingle, whether it be table magic, whatever it is, my job is to go in and entertain every single person at that table. And the bottom line is, some people just don't like magic. And if you walk over and you make it all about the magic and you tell this wonderful storytelling thing, most people will switch off. I've had people turn around to me and go, oh, I don't like magic. And I've performed to them and they've said, actually, I didn't think I liked magic, but I like you. Now, that's not because I'm the best magician in the world. It's just because they've probably seen somebody who wasn't engaging, weren't weren't able to control an audience, weren't able to grab everyone's attention and keep everyone's attention. Well, the one thing that I can do very well is walk over to a table or walk on stage and grab the audience's attention immediately. Hey, my name's Craig, I'm the magician. Can everyone look over here? That'd be amazing. I'm going to, whatever it may be, right? And these hack lines, these joke lines that so many magicians turn their nose up at, these are great because what they do is they entertain the audience. They bring in an element of comedy. And rather than just doing magic, just go, pick a card, right, it's come to the top. Look, put it in the middle, it's come to the top again. Put it in the middle, it's come to the top again. I've seen so many magicians do that. I've also seen so many magicians try and tell a story. Every single trick they do is a story, and that doesn't work as well. Obviously, you've got to find your own style, and certain lines will work for me and won't work for other people. But I wish that magicians who turn their nose up at hack lines would try them once or twice with conviction. Because watch my videos on the 5x5s, watch my videos of me performing to real people, watch the performances on the products that I release to real people, and you'll see that the lines that I use are being well received. They're getting people to laugh. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing for me is entertaining the audience. And it's not like I'm telling you something that I'm not doing myself. Watch any videos, you'll hear me use these lines over and over again. Watch the performances on things like the Quantum Deck or Keymaster or Chop. You'll see me using these lines over and over again. So, with that in mind, I thought I'd break down some of my favorite hack lines. Now, you might not like them, and that's absolutely fine, in which case, stop the video. But these are the lines that I find work really well for me when I'm performing at events up and down the UK. Okay, so the first line is used and again, you need to understand your character when you're performing, okay? So you need to understand your character. My character is kind of very Greg Wilson, very cheeky, sort of like an honest con man, not pretending that magic is real for a second, just that I can do stuff that nobody else can do because I've practiced it, that sort of thing, right? I don't take anything that I say too seriously. I'm quite sarcastic, and people pick up on that in the first couple of seconds. So the first line that I like to use is if the spectator's done something, right? Okay, so it might be something I've engineered, like, so for example, you know, I've asked them to do something and the trick's not worked, or maybe they have actually done something and I've acted like it's made the trick go wrong. So for example, you say, hey, would you like to shuffle the cards? Oh, you do want to shuffle the cards. Okay, you know, that sort of thing. The line is, have you ever helped a magician? Because frankly, you're not helping one right now. Very funny line, always gets a great reaction. And it's how you deliver it. Have you ever helped a magician? Because you're not helping one right now, to be perfectly honest. It's a really funny line that really gets the audience's attention. And again, with all of these lines, you have to understand your character. If your character wouldn't do these lines, then you have to come up with something else. But you still need there's certain lines that you're going to use over your career. There's certain things that you're going to say that you realize resonate with the audience. And so you're just going to hold on to them because you know they work in this particular situation. And everybody's lines might be different based on their performing character. So for example, someone like D. Christopher, very gothic, very mysterious. He wouldn't use a line like, hey, you know, have you ever helped a magician? Because you're not helping one right now. He wouldn't use that, but I'm willing to bet if you spoke to D, there's certain lines and certain things that he would say in a performing situation that he knows works really well, and so he'll use them again in other groups because he knows that they're, you know, like a banker. And what I mean by banker is they're guaranteed to get a good reaction for that particular line, okay? So that's the first one. Have you ever helped a magician? Because you're not helping one right now. Okay, the second one, this is a line I like to use after the first line. After the first line I just mentioned, you want to help a magician, you're not helping one right now. This is another line to use. You just look at them and you go, it's my fault. I shouldn't have picked you. Now, it's a classic. I've heard magicians use this for years. It's my fault, it's my fault. I shouldn't have picked you. But it's how you deliver it. You know, you kind of like, it's my fault, I shouldn't have picked you, as you're kind of moving on to something else. And again, it gets a great reaction. It always brings the house down. Go watch some of my videos and go listen to me say this stuff and see the reaction from the audience, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Have you ever helped a magician before? You're not helping one right now. I've got to be honest, it's my fault. I shouldn't have picked you. Just that sort of stuff. Now, again, you might not be able to get away with it based on your performing character, and that's fine. Understand your performing character and develop a series of lines that work for you. Okay, so number 3, this is one that is a classic. It's old as the hills, but it is a great line to use. Always gets a really good reaction. When you're getting them to sign a card, you just get them to sign a card and you say, do me a favor, sign the card on the face, not your face on the face of the card. And again, it's just that little thing. I like to fill my performances up with something. I don't like dead time. I don't like moments where nothing's happening. I always want to make sure that something's happening when I'm performing. So it might be that I'm delivering some lines. It might be that I'm doing something magical. It might be that I'm delivering some presentation. Whatever it is, something should be happening. I have a series of lines that I use when somebody's signing a card, because that can kind of be a boring thing. If you just go, yeah, here's a pen, sign the card. Have you done it? Great, thanks. That's just dull, right? So fill it with something else. Now you might want to just go and talk to the rest of the audience. So while she's signing that, can you, how are you? Are you okay? You enjoying the event? You are? Fantastic. You look very happy about this. But it's nice to just say, do me a favor, sign the card on the face. Not your face, obviously, the face of the card. That'd be amazing. Thank you very much. It's just something that you say to keep the momentum rolling while you're actually performing. Okay, number 4. Again, this is a classic line. It's as old as the hills. And this is the line that this is probably one of those lines that magicians would go, I wouldn't use that. It's a hack line. It's terrible. It's an easy laugh. I want an easy laugh. I want an easy laugh. And the bottom line is this gets a laugh every single time I use this line, even though it's as old as the hills, which is, do me a favor, sign the card on the face, not your face, the face of the card. Underneath, can you put your bank account number and sort code? And your social security number. If you could put your PIN number as well, that'd be absolutely amazing. It's purely for identification purposes only, you understand. Now, as I'm saying that to the person, I'm kind of looking around at the rest of the audience, doing it very tongue-in-cheek. And this is doing a few things. It's laying down my character so that people understand who my character is. I'm this guy that's like a bit of an honest con man. He's messing around, not taking himself too seriously. And that's when people can relax and enjoy the magic, right? It's not like I'm making it. It's like, right, you're going to sign your name. That embeds your signature on the card forever. Now, that might work for somebody. It's not going to work for me. And again, I'm going to keep reiterating this through the video. Find your character. Find out who you are. And make this work for you. Okay, number 5 is something that I use when I'm doing a coin routine. So when I'm doing a coin routine, I always have them cup their hands. This is a coins across. This works great for a coins across. I always have them cup their hands together. And I kind of say to them, I'm going to make the coins jump from this hand to this hand one at a time. They're going to land in your hand. You'll know when they arrive by the look on her face. There will be a look, because when they land in your hand, you're going to be like this. Do you want to practice? You do. Okay, watch. And I drop the coin in the hand and they always go. Now, that whole sequence there is great. And the reason it is first of all, it's really funny because the person's doing this and the woman's playing along, which is fantastic, and they're kind of doing that. But the second thing is, it's conditioning them as to how I want them to react later on. I always get better reactions for the coins across if I do that than if I don't do that. So that whole sequence of, I'm going to make the coins jump from my hand to your hand. When they land in your hand, you'll know when they arrive by the look on her face. She's going to be like this. Have a practice. And it's just funny when you get the audience to do something that, when you're performing for an audience and you get a spectator to do something that's kind of a bit weird in front of their friends and family, it always goes down really, really well, right? It always goes down really, really well. So, so there's that element to it. Now, earlier on, I mentioned that there's certain lines that you use in certain situations that you don't use in other situations. And it's about reading the audience. Sometimes something would be appropriate, while other times it wouldn't be appropriate. As a follow-up to that, when I drop the coin in their hand and they go, a lot of the time, if I'm in front of the right audience, I'll just turn around and I'll say, wow, I wish my wife could fake it that well. Now, that's not one that you want to do in front of kids. That's not one that you want to do in front of, like a church group. But you know the type of people, when they're all there having a drink and they're all joking and stuff, you deliver that line when she goes, oh, you go, wow, I wish my wife could fake it that well. It's a great line. It's a great line and it works. Do I use it in every situation? No. When I use it, does it always bring the house down? Yes. And now we're adding layers. The magic is strong, but I'm also doing stuff that's making them laugh. And at the end of a performance, more often than not, I'll have people say, you know what, I really enjoyed that. That was really funny. And that's what I want. I want people to react to the presentation as well as to the magic. I'd rather have people say, oh, that was really funny, or that was really entertaining, or I've never laughed so hard in my life, rather than that was magical. Yeah, I'll take it if they say that was magical, absolutely. But I'd rather them latch onto other aspects of the performance. Okay, again, the next line that I want to use, or I want to explain to you, is one that, again, is very conditional. So this is a line that I won't use in every single event. This is a line that I won't use in front of every single audience. But in front of the right audience, this is a line that brings the house down. And it's when they're holding 4 coins, but they're aware that they think there's only 3. I've got the last coin. I'm going to make it disappear. Boom, it's gone. And I just look at them and say, hey, did you feel that? And they always go, no. And you go, yeah, story of my life. Now, again, I know there's going to be people watching this video that are going to go, oh, there Craig is again with his hack lines. You find any video of me delivering that line and it not working really, really well. You won't find a video like that, because what video doesn't exist, because I've got the experience to know exactly what type of audience to use that line in front of. And I know that every single time I'm going to use it, it's going to go really well. And it's just, you don't make a big deal of it. You just go, hey, I'm going to make the final coin go. It's going to go from here to here. Did you feel it? Story of my life. It's those little moments that just make the routine or make the performance even more interesting, even more engaging, right? So that's another line that you might want to use. That's another line that works really, really well. It's a line that I really like, and it fits perfectly for a certain group of audiences, the type of audiences that I perform in front of quite a lot. Okay, you know what? I could go on and on and on about various different lines. Those are some of my favorite lines to use. I might do another follow-up video and break down like the top 20 lines of all time. The purpose of this video wasn't to actually break down every single line that I use, although if you want to see a video on that, I can do that for you, not a problem. Like I say, I can break down a video of the top 20 hack lines that I use. That's absolutely not a problem. The purpose of this video is to understand that when you're outperforming in the real world and you're outperforming for real people, you do what you need to do to make it entertaining for that person. And you know, I find it funny that a lot of the time the people that turn round to me and say, oh, you know, Craig's terrible at presenting magic, Craig's not entertaining, Craig just uses hack lines, they haven't got any videos up of their own. You don't see videos of them performing. You don't see videos of them doing magic. You don't see videos of them. And if you do see a video, it's normally them sitting there behind a desk looking all boring, like the love child of Pee Wee Herman and Mr. Bean. You know, that just tends to be the case. Not always, but it tends to be the case. When people go out, ask any worker that works in the real world on a regular basis, and ask them, they're going to have a series of lines that they use, and they're going to have a series of things that they do. You'll see a lot of the time when I'm performing magic, I'll snap my fingers, and I've heard people criticize that and say, oh, Craig just snaps his fingers all the time to account for the magic. Well, you know, that's a thing that I like to do. You know, at the end of the day, when I perform, I want to do something to account for the magic. Now, it could be that I wave my hand over. It could be, and maybe you're the sort of person that says, well, no, I don't want to do that sort of thing. I don't want to click my fingers to make the magic happen. I want to have something else. That's fine. That works for you. As long as your audiences are reacting well, as long as your performances are working, and as long as everyone's having a great time, that's fine. This works for me. So find something that works for you. Find lines that work for you. Find a presentational style that works for you. Find a character that works for you, that you can do in your act that works really well, and forget about what anyone else says. So yeah, if you want to hear more about lines that I use in my act that you might want to be aware of and you want to use in your act, that's absolutely fine, but find your own character. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. Bit of a different one this week, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you want to see a follow-up video to this? I'm more than happy to do one. You want to see more videos like this? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I'm going to be back again at 9 o'clock tomorrow with another video, and we'll probably throw in one at 2 and one at 6 as well. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.